meeting to order. Yeah. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Board of Adjustment of the Township of Franklin has been provided. Please call the roll.
Raymond Betterbid.
Here.
Laura Grauman.
Here.
Donald Johnson.
Here.
Bruce McCracken.
Here.
Alan Rich.
Here.
Mr. Shepard is asked to be absent today. Anthony Caldwell.
Here.
Gary Rosenthal.
Here.
Joel Reese.
Yep.
Cheryl Bagalia.
Here.
Chairman Thomas.
Here. First order on the agenda, vouchers for Mr. Bradshaw. There are 6 listed as a group. Is there someone who would like to advance a motion?
I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. First on the, I guess, discussion, to go under discussion, relief of conditions, Stagehouse, ZBA 12-00018. A little strange.
Oh, simply that's the letter.
What's the deal with that camera? Why isn't it in the other, is that a special camera?
He makes his grand entrance.
Okay, that's out of your allotted 30 seconds.
This is on the Stagehouse, correct?
Yeah.
Stagehouse.
All right.
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Lanford appearing on behalf of the Stagehouse. In 2012, we came in for an approval for the parking lot, for redoing the parking lot, for landscaping and things of that nature. And at that time, when we did the addition to the parking lot, we were slightly under the requirements of the ordinance for parking. As a result, when the board approved that application, we were precluded from using the upstairs when the patio was open. At that time, also in the site plan, there was a large grass area next to the service bar. As I guess you've reviewed my letter, we would like to use that grass area for outside dining, and obviously we would have had to provide additional parking if we wanted to use it and keep all of the uses inside. We actually started with negotiations and had entered into an agreement with the Sri Swaminarayan Temple to use their parking lot and have people park there and walk over. We met with the township staff, and they were not in love with the idea because they were concerned about people walking late at night over from one site to the other, and felt that there were safety concerns, so that idea was tabled. As a result, my client decided that the best way to deal with this is obviously to eliminate seating in the inside of the restaurant when we were using the outside, so that the net result would be that we would either use the outside area and close off 2 rooms. And the 2 rooms that we would close off if you were in the restaurant, had been in the restaurant, there's 2 rooms in the back. They're both small rooms. One of them seats about 30 people and the other one seats 50 people. And we would close those 2 rooms off if we were going to use the outside patio area. It would still leave us with the main dining room, which seats over 100 people. It would leave us with the bar and the tables around the bar, which also seats 100 people. And then there's the porch on the right side, which would still be open. I don't have the exact count of the number of seats in that porch area. So there would be approximately 200-plus seats within the confines of the restaurant if we were using the outside area. Obviously, on nights when it's raining or in the wintertime when we're not using the outside, then we would open up those 2 rooms. But any time that that patio area or that grass area would be open, we would close the inside. So that's the relief of condition that we're seeking. And the reason we're seeking the relief of condition, because your resolution of approval clearly stated that we cannot have any seating in that area. When speaking to Mr. Dominack, he indicated that if it was not specifically precluded in a condition, if we were just swapping out one space for another space, he probably would allow it without us having to go to the board. But because the resolution precluded seating in that area, he asked that we come to the board and request the relief.
And so who's gonna police where they actually sit people? If they have an overflow of people, that they're not gonna open the rooms?
Those two rooms would be cordoned off. They would not be opened. The staff would not have any wait. There would be no wait staff for those rooms. There would be no service for those rooms. So obviously, those two rooms would not be used if we were using the outside.
Yeah. Don't take this as an offense, but I always look a little leery at cases we close and give a resolution, and then the applicant comes back to finagle another angle over it.
No, it's not a question of finagling. I mean, the reason you said that we couldn't use it was because there would have not been enough parking. And so what we're doing is now closing out other rooms, which opens up basically parking for that spot. We're just swapping it out. It's not a question of trying to add something. We're just swapping out one space for another space and basically having the parking lot available for our patrons. Quite frankly, if we added what would be 80 seats outside, without closing those rooms, there'd be no place for those people to park. And they'd be parking in the municipal lot, which is something the township doesn't want. They would be parking in the Board of Education property on the other side. They'd be parking in places where, they shouldn't be parking, so.
I have a question, Peter. It's
Sure.
me. I've heard some complaints that especially on the weekend, people complain that it's awfully loud outside. And I'm talking about the neighbors across on Amwell and everything else. By adding those 81, do you think that will increase the loudness?
I was unaware that there were any complaints. I know there's music out there, and my guess is if there was a complaint about noise, it probably would have been because of the music and not because...
Because of the music.
Yeah. And so adding the 81 seats doesn't increase the noise. I mean, the patrons are the patrons. But the music is limited. It doesn't go that late, and I don't know if that's still a problem. I understand, he tries to monitor the noise, but
Okay.
I can't answer that.
I was going to raise the same noise question, but I have another question, and that is since there's a change of condition, and I guess this is to our attorney, do we need, if we were to vote on this, would notice be required?
I was sitting here thinking the same thing. I mean, it was, remind me, I don't have the original was it a use variance?
It was, yeah, it's a non-conforming use. And
So why wouldn't there be a notice requirement?
I don't think this is increasing the intensity or changing the use. If it was an increase in intensity of the use, if we were going to use that outdoor space and then provide 80 more seats, I would I know I would have to notice. But in this case, all we're doing is basically reconfiguring the use within the confine. Everything that's there is there. We're not adding any new construction. All we're doing is basically taking 80 chairs from inside and moving them outside.
Right, so it's like a restriping or stuff.
Chairman,
Hold on a second. Let me ask you this, because it's unclear in your letter. Seems to you start talking about tables inside, which is where people eat. I know the area you're talking about, but you don't talk about tables outside.
He's not sure whether there will be tables outside for eating or whether it will be just people sitting and drinking. He hasn't decided that. But basically, what we would do is have the equivalent of 81 seats out there. There will be some tables out there. Whether it's going to be a full menu, he's still working through that.
Do you have an occupancy outside? In other words, does the fire department restrict how many you can have outside?
No. I don't believe they can restrict. I mean, we're restricted by your approvals, and
But I mean, inside there's an occupancy.
inside there's an
So
occupancy.
Outside there isn't.
No.
I think if the occupancy here, I think as Peter was about to get to, would be restricted by whatever, if the board was to impose this 81 seat restriction. And just, Pat, as far as whether it's requires notice or not, I believe the reason why it's here tonight is, I think it was Vince's opinion that because if they were to just add another 81, well, that would clearly be an expansion of the use. This is really taking the 81 inside, kind of on a temporary basis, and in a way, taking those 81 and having them outside and closing off those other 2 rooms. So he didn't think that was an expansion.
Well, I mean, I'm okay. Listen, the risk is not ours, it's theirs. So if notice was required on something like this, and somebody challenges it on notice, he's the one who's got to fight it, not us. I do see how it's, and I don't know that notice is required if you're not actually changing or adding something to it, but that would have to be a determination that the board, or a conclusion that the board makes.
My only concern, and it may be the issue of noise is just music, I don't know. But if there's going to be, for example, drinking and so on outside, you may have noise from the customers. That is, and I only raised that because somebody said there were noise complaints. If the noise complaints only arise out of the music, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My understanding is that twofold, is that the noise complaints are related to the music. It is amplified music that they have, I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. I believe there have been some measures taken. I think they did some modifications to the sound system to reduce those concerns. So whether those concerns still exist, I'm not sure. I know the problem was greater a year ago or more.
Okay, you've been waiting.
I mean, let's understand, I like the establishment, I've been there before myself, but, now that, when Gary brought up the noise, it reminded me that one of the first big cases I attended here was the Spring Hill Estates with the restaurant, the separate building restaurant, and one of the conditions, and that went on for numerous meetings, and one of the final stipulations for that restaurant was that the outside seating had to end by 10 o'clock at night or some hour, because there was concern about from the residents about outside noise, whether it's music or not. People outside drinking and talking and laughing, that noise does echo at night. Now that restaurant is open till 11, 12 o'clock at night, I believe, right?
It's open rather late. I don't know exactly what
Especially on
time.
the weekends,
It's
yeah.
past my bedtime.
Yeah, so, now, if they had proposed that when the case was here, the residents who may have been in attendance here might have objected to that additional outside seating. So wouldn't that preclude a notice to them now to have them have a chance to listen to this? Otherwise, just approve it?
What he's saying is he's not changing the occupancy. In other words, they can have as many people outside right now as they want, which has nothing to do with the seating of it, so, and it would have nothing to do with the noise either. It's just what he's saying is we're not gonna also have people inside so that it won't double up on the parking. It's simple.
And the other thing, Mr. Reese,
I'm just sworn here to protect the residents
Yeah.
as well as the applicants, okay?
in my recollection, and I don't think, I'm looking at the resolution at this time, I don't believe there were any residents at the original hearing. The resolution is silent on that. Usually,
Okay.
there's some language in there if neighbors appeared, but my recollection is there were no neighbors at the original hearing in
Hey,
2012.
go for it. I don't know.
Well, I guess my feeling is that if our attorney says that the risk is yours,
Okay.
I'm prepared to vote on it.
I'm not sure if you were required to notice people. how many people there would be noticed? How many residents, not counting the cricket and the post office?
They're actually,
200 feet?
there are actually probably 2 houses on the other side of Amwell Road.
I think that's accurate. You have the school district property between, and then you have the township property surrounded on the other side.
And there's the churches across the street also. So I think there's 2 residential properties which are by the traffic light.
Right, which kind of leads me to the question, how much of a noise issue is there?
The sound does travel. The sound does travel, mind.
Yeah.
I think is it Charles Street that's on the,
Right.
I think there have been residents
there's all
over there
houses over
who have heard it and have had some complaints.
And I think that's where I don't think the people across the street, because the band,
Well, the building would block the noise to some degree.
yeah, and the music or the amplifiers face in towards the building, and they don't face Amwell Road. So I don't, if there were any complaints at one time, they would not have been, at least in my mind, from people on the other side of Amwell.
Charleston.
You have anything else to offer?
I'll try to answer any other questions that you may have, but I have nothing else to offer.
I just have one other question, too. Since they don't know if food is going to be served, is that a concern for us to know now versus later?
I mean, I thought the purpose of it was to serve people out there, you know.
Well, Mr. Caldwell, they serve the food they would have, if we didn't use this, we would be serving food inside. How he uses it outside, I don't think is really that important as opposed to how many people or how many chairs or tables can be outside. I think that's the critical issue. Whether he decides to do a different, instead of a full dinners outside, maybe he would have a different menu or do something like that. He's trying to figure out what the customers want. We're not sure how it would function, but I don't think it's relevant or is relevant to your decision as opposed to, can we put 81 people out there? How those seats are being used is...
And that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
I don't know what the relevance is.
You're actually like probably talking like lawn chairs, relaxing kind of chairs, aren't you?
Talk about putting Adirondack chairs, and he may have some little tables next to him. He may put a few actually tables with umbrellas, but it's going to be, it's not a formal dining area like the rest of the patio. It's going to be something less than that. And to that extent, there may be some food served out there, there may not be.
So he's willing to lose all the food orders from inside and put them outside?
Yeah.
Not knowing whether they're going to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think right now he's limited in the number of,
He's in the booth.
he's limited in the total number of seats he can have by the number of parking spaces he has. And I think when it's nice out, if he has the choice between providing this outdoor area or the 2 front rooms that probably on a really nice day, people are probably not going to use anyway, he's going to, cordon off those areas and allow people to use the outside.
Are these rooms, these 2 rooms, are these private event catering rooms?
I mean, at times they are used for that. At times they are used for, on Friday and Saturday nights, they're used for regular dining. Actually, we were there today at lunchtime, and one of the rooms was being used by some business group or something during the day. But on the evenings, those are actual dining rooms.
Okay. So
And-
if
and
he
does-
if he had a party booked in the 50-seat room on Saturday night, on a nice night where it's not raining,
Then he can't use the outside.
how would he gather up the furniture and
No, court,
wondering?
he would just close it off. And obviously, anybody who sits in there is brought there by a hostess, and basically that area would be closed off. There actually is a chain across there now to that area, except that you can access the service bar in there. But that area would be closed off.
And what do they make this decision, on a day-by-day basis, or will he do it for the summer, we're going to close off the inside, or how are they going to do that?
A lot of it depends on the weather, but it's basically when he only opens the patio May through into September, and You know, obviously, when the patio closes for the season, everything closes for the season outside.
I think Cheryl brings up a good point. I mean, what happens if you have if they have a party and they reserve that front room on a Friday in July?
Then
They reserve it months ahead of time, and it's a beautiful July Friday evening. What, are they going to tell that party, sorry?
no,
reservation?
it's the other way around. Then we don't open up the outside.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
He's not going to keep that nice lawn area closed because he has a party of 15
Well, I
in that
mean,
one room.
the reality is he probably won't, you know, I don't know if he has anything booked, but the reality is he probably would not book a party on a Friday night.
That may be a condition that the board might want to consider. Perhaps he can't reserve those front rooms from Memorial Day to Labor Day or something like that.
And that's fine. I mean, but again, I think the condition we're willing to impose, that they're never open at the same time, really answers that question.
Anything else? This requires a formal motion.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right, anybody wish to step forward?
All right, I move that we approve the application. I think that Mr. Healy's suggestion is a good one, that that there be no private parties booked for either of those rooms during that portion of the season where the patio and lawn open area is open, but other than that, that the condition be revised.
Or a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Do we need to add dates to that, or because it's a little nebulous?
Well, I mean, I would say during that portion of time that the lawn area is open to the public.
All right.
Because otherwise, you might get a heck of a warm October, or in April,
Okay.
so.
Do we need to limit the time of it being, you know, a closing time?
No.
No?
I mean, you can do whatever you want, if you think it's. It's not my motion. Okay.
All right, that is the motion then, and the second.
Second.
Okay? Yeah, we have a second. Mr. Betterbid?
Yes.
Laura Grauman?
Yes.
Donald Johnson?
Yes.
Bruce McCracken?
Yes.
Helen Rich?
Yes.
Anthony Caldwell?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes, I just want to add one thing now, because this is not the application to get into this debate. But I really do have a feeling that if you move 80 people from inside to outside, that's a change that probably should take, I could see that requiring a notice, because I think that is a change. We had the discussion here, I don't think, and I'm convinced that's not an issue here, but I don't think we should say automatically, if it comes up in a similar situation, that just moving from inside to outside, it is swapping seats, but putting that many people outside isn't, in my mind, it's a change. But that's just my opinion, and obviously it passed, so wish him good luck with it.
Thank you.
Richer Group, ZBA 15-0007, sign variance in which the applicant's asking permission to erect a sign at 1762 Easton Avenue, Somerset, lot 424.02, lot 23.02, in the general business zone, carried to June 4th. No further notice required. First application to be heard, Makulas Choma, ZBA
You might.
00004, hardship variance in which the applicant's asking permission to build an addition at 217 Adams Street, Somerset, block 550, lots 40, 45, in the R10 zone. And who do we have for that application? Is that applicant here?
That's not you, Pete?
Choma, anybody here for that?
Well, we can hold it and call it at the end and see if anything changes. Mohammed Anda, Mariam Arif, ZBA 15-00008, hardship variance in which the applicant's asking permission to add a shed, brick driveway, patio, and an in-ground pool at 23 Valleywood Drive, Somerset, block 508.02, lot 3.38 in the R40 zone.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Peter Lanford appearing on behalf of the applicant. This is an application that is seeking actually two bulk variances, one for impervious coverage. We are 1 point, I believe it's 8% over the required impervious coverage, and the shed that is on the property is approximately 6 feet from the property line. We're not looking to construct anything. Everything is in place. I will go through the testimony with my client, but before I do that, I want to pass out two exhibits, which will sort of give you an idea of what where the property is and what it looks like. The first, and I have copies for all the board members, is a Google Earth photograph of the subject property. This was taken in 2014. I'm going to ask it to be marked as A1.
All right.
Okay, I do have another set of photographs, but I ought to have my client testify that he took the photographs, and I only have one set, so I'll have those marked after he testifies. So if I can have Mohammed sworn in, please. Stand up,
Yes.
please, right?
Solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Okay, and your name for the record? Okay.
Is that mic on?
Hold the mic up.
Okay. Mr. Anda, you are the owner of the property in question, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and when did you purchase the property?
in 2010,
Okay, and with whom do you reside at the property?
with my wife and with my kids, 4 kids.
Your 4 kids, okay.
Yes,
And when you purchased the property, you had a survey that was done, and that survey was submitted as part of this application, is that correct?
correct.
And the property did not have a pool at that time?
No,
Okay. After you moved into the property, you decided that you wanted to put a pool in the back of the property to be used by your family?
correct.
Okay. And did your contractor obtain a permit for the pool?
Yes, I had all the permits. I got all the approval, electrical, plumbing, everything I do, everything I did with the permit.
Okay. And then after that, the pool was constructed, did you put a shed in the back of the property?
I did not put the shed. The shed was there, but I just relocated.
Okay, there was a shed on the property previously?
Correct, yeah.
And you relocated it adjacent to the pool?
Correct.
And what is the shed being used for?
Just for the pool, equipment, such as the swimming things, like the pool items,
Okay. And if we looked at Exhibit A1, which shows your property and shows the pool, to the left of the pool is where the shed is located adjacent to your neighbor's property?
Correct.
Okay. After you did all the work, and your contractor left, did you add any additional stonework or impervious coverage to the property?
I did, in the corners of the pool, I did the stonework.
Okay.
And what we call, that's about it.
Okay, I also noted, and I may be wrong, but did you change the sidewalk in the front of the property and make it a little bit bigger?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. After you did all of that work, in order to get a sign-off from the township, you had to provide to them an as-built survey, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and when you provided the as-built survey, then you were informed that you were at 31% plus, or 1% over the impervious coverage, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that's why we're seeking the variance. Okay, and I have here photographs of basically your property. There's 7 pictures. They include the front of the house, the side of the house, the pool area,
Correct.
and the shed.
Yes.
These pictures were taken by you?
Were taken by me, and I emailed you,
Right, and they were taken this week?
this week, yeah. on Monday.
And they accurately reflect what your property looks like?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Can I have, I guess we can mark these as one exhibit?
Collectively, A2, yeah.
Okay. I'll start it with Mr. Reese, and he can pass them down.
Is it 31.9% or 34?
It's
It is
31.9.
31.9. Okay.
So we're dealing with a variance of 1.9%?
Yes. That's what we're dealing with. But we can't get a sign-off and a release on the
Got
pool
it.
without it. So that's why we're here. Okay. Also, the last question, Mr. Anda, you've spoken to your immediate neighbors on either side of you, particularly the one that has the shed next to their property?
They don't have any issue, and a couple of neighbors, they gave me, I made a letter, and they signed for me,
Yeah, but we can't put the letter in evidence, but you've
Right.
spoken to them, and
Exactly.
nobody has a
They don't
problem
have
with
it.
what
And
you're proposing.
It's not a complaint, actually, it's just the requirement of the township,
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions of this witness.
But as far as the impervious coverage is concerned, he followed all the procedures, did everything he was supposed to do, and somehow it ended up 1.
No, that's not totally accurate. He got the permit for the pool, and then he sort of enhanced the area around the pool decks to make it slightly over the zone requirement, but he did get permits.
I think it boils down to 3 things. Yeah, it was the stone around the pool. I guess there was a little bit of a expansion of the walkway in the front, and then the pool shed also requires a variance. I guess he put that in the location that was convenient for him, but that also requires the setback.
Actually, I had a slope, I'm sorry, I had a slope,
Mhm.
So that's why, I don't have any other space to put, the shed. If, I relocate, it's very hard for me because I have a slope over there, But that's the problem.
Well, the shed, when we look at the picture, is, even though it's right up against your neighbor, it's up against his backyard, and it doesn't look like it really impacts the neighbor one way or the other. I'm also looking at the fact that there's a lot of green area all around, so that I don't know that, well, I get nervous about additional impervious area. I don't know that in this particular location, 1.9% is going to make any difference, looking at.
Yeah. In addition, Ms. Grauman, I mean, the engineer looked at it and it didn't indicate that there would have been a problem. I mean, if he thought there was a drainage issue or a problem caused by it, he would have probably asked for a dry well or something. But it's a de minimis.
Who owns that treed area, and what is that used for?
The trees behind your property. Conservation. This project was, I don't know how many years ago. This was a clustered development, so there were lots. This was originally an R40 zone. They clustered the lots down to R20, and there were preservation areas of trees. And actually, there were 3 sites. There was this site, there was a site on DeMont Lane, and there's actually a site behind the municipal building. All 3 of them were clustered with open space being created as part of the development. So all of that land behind it is open space.
Deed restricted.
It's deed restricted, that is correct. I think it actually may even be owned by the municipality. It may not even be deed restricted. It may have been conveyed to the municipality.
Okay.
I don't see a fence around the pool. Is there a fence around the pool?
Yes.
Okay. And again, the pool was inspected after it was built. Okay.
Anything else from your room?
I have no further questions, no other witnesses.
Well, we'll open this to the public, what public there is. So if anyone would like to speak or ask a question, now's the time to do that. And there's no one wishing to do that apparently, so we'll close. Any board questions? Anything else you need in terms of information? Anything else you want to?
This is a de minimis deviation. It wasn't done also, put in there intentionally to violate the ordinance. He didn't realize there was a violation till after the fact, and obviously it doesn't impact anybody. And if you look at the pictures, the property is well kept and well maintained, and I would respectfully request that the variance be granted.
I move approval of the application.
Second.
If there's no discussion, we'll
Raymond Betterbid,
Yes.
Laura Grauman,
Yes.
Donald Johnson,
Yes.
Bruce McCracken,
Yes.
Alan Rich,
Yes.
Anthony Caldwell,
Yes.
Chairman Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Dial Enterprises, amended site plan with the applicants asking permission to increase the footprint of 315 Churchill, Somerset, block 89.03, lot 3.01 in the M2 zone.
And for the record, that property is township open space. I just looked.
Okay.
It's township open space, that
It is.
fields, I mean, the forest behind it. It's actually township open space, preserved.
Yes.
Okay, maybe I'm missing it. I didn't leave it on the kitchen table. Hang on.
This is another
I
one.
was going to give it to Mark.
This is another one next month. They do piecemeal.
Eventually.
This is the one we just, no, this is the one that didn't show up yet. Didn't show.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Lanford appearing on behalf of the applicant. This is an application to amend the site plan of the property known as Lot 3.01, Block 89.03. The applicant is Dayall Enterprises. Very briefly, this originally received a use variance some years ago for the construction of a banquet facility on a piece of property that fronts both on Hamilton Street and Churchill. The original application had the building, if you're looking at the property from Churchill, on the right side of the property. We then amended the application and shrunk the building, made it a smaller building, and relocated the building. The building is currently under construction. In going through the building as it is being constructed, my client realized that one of the pre-function rooms is probably smaller than it should have been, and he is proposing to add 1,750 square feet of building to the pre-function room. I will point it out on exhibit, which I've marked as A2, which is just this little area right here, which was not part of the original building. It's glass enclosed, and obviously architecturally blends into the building, and that would be for the pre-function if there is a wedding in the main area.
Wait a minute, is that what it is proposed to look like? Or that is what it should be looking like if, as approved?
That's what it would be looking like as it would be approved.
If we approved it?
Right, that's
Okay.
that's the building with the approval, the additional 1,750 square feet. Again, it's a pre-function room. It does not add any more seating or people. This is the area that would be used for reception before they go into the main room for the banquet. I will call Mr. Ford as my witness just to review the plan, and both on the site plan, which I've marked as A1.
Okay, solemnly swear affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Your name for the record.
Michael Ford, Ford, with Van Cleef Engineering Associates, licensed professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey.
Okay. Mr. Ford, you've been the engineer of record and have testified throughout all of the hearings in this project.
Yes,
Okay.
We'll accept his
thank you.
expertise.
Okay. Mr. Ford, can you briefly, there are actually two changes to the plan. One is the addition, and we've marked as A1 your landscape plan, which shows the building and also the landscaping. Can you, on that plan, Exhibit A1, can you show the changes that are being proposed?
Yes. The building is what I'm circling now with my finger. There is two cocktail areas in the front of the building. This is the main front entrance where the drop-off is. There was an outdoor courtyard area right outside of cocktail area or room 1, which is now being proposed to be enclosed, and that is the area that Mr. Lamford pointed out with the glass enclosure, basically squaring off the building. So it squares off the building here.
Okay.
That's an indoor area.
Okay, but before we made this change or this request for a change, that was impervious coverage, that was an outdoor patio area.
Correct.
So we've decided to enclose that.
Right. And it actually is connected with an even larger outdoor patio that remains unchanged.
Okay. And is there any other change to the site plan?
Yes, there's another cocktail lounge or area number 2 immediate along Churchill Avenue, where we're proposing it to add an outdoor patio area, a small outdoor patio area.
And what is the square footage of the outdoor patio area that we're adding?
That's approximately the same as the enclosed area, about 1,700 square feet.
So it's replacing what we took out and covered
Right,
up?
right.
Okay. Now, this application does not require any variances of any kind. It meets all of the bulk requirements of the ordinance, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and also it meets all of the parking requirements of the ordinance, so there's no need for any parking variances of any kind?
Correct.
Okay. And you've examined and reviewed the staff reports that were generated in conjunction with the application?
Yes.
And there weren't many comments, but to the extent that there are some minor modifications that have been requested, you will make them, correct?
Yes.
And they do not alter or change what the board is looking at or what we're asking the board to approve this evening?
Not at all.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any board questions?
And in the site plans that we have, is it in here?
This addition?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the February 2015 site plan reflects, in fact, the rendering A1 is the February 12th, 2015 landscape plan, which is sheet 4. And that shows this area. The site plan, sheet 3, identifies those areas and highlights them as additions of the February 12th, 2015 plan.
So there will be a gazebo inside of that?
This gazebo here, that was part of the original approval, and
Oh, I
that's in
see.
this courtyard area, this outdoor courtyard area right here.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I see now.
beyond, yeah.
I see
yeah.
now.
That was part of the prior approval.
Okay.
That hasn't changed.
In the area marked addition to cocktail lounge number 1.
That's the subject of this application.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just one question, two related questions. Staff reports, there are some minor comments, mostly related to verifying some drainage information and one or two other comments. Do you have any problems meeting the staff comments?
Not at all.
Okay. And then I had a question about the exterior screening and the lighting. That was a kind of a big part of the original approval. I assume there are no changes to that whatsoever?
The verbose plan, extensive landscaping has not changed.
Oh, that quote is years old now, but
I just remember that comment because you don't get it that often. So it's, the overall landscape plan is unchanged. The detention basin, the perimeter buffering that was proposed and approved as part of the original application and the subsequent amendment is still the same, unchanged on this application.
Yeah, I pass that site quite often, and it's like, there's nothing there, except the building. They cleared that whole site. And you know, there's no, I mean, it's a clear view from the street, I mean.
Right, the landscaping will be, it's under construction now. The landscaping will be installed at the end of the sequence of construction.
and that's typical. Usually landscaping, because of all the site work,
I mean,
is
will
last.
landscaping be very high to block out some of the view of the building?
Yes, and that detention basin in the front will be landscaped, so it won't even be just like a manicured lawn. It'll be a
Yeah,
well landscaped.
Right now, it looks like a clear-cut forest, you know.
Right. That's common on any construction application.
Yeah, and what the condition of the board's approval was, that landscape plan that's on there, obviously, if the board was to approve this, that would continue to be a condition of the approval. And then also, as part of the approval, the applicant had agreed to provide some landscaping for the residents on the other side of Hamilton Street if the need arose. And I have had questions from the neighbors across the street, when are we getting our landscaping? And I tell them, wait until the landscaping is in on site, and then we'll know where the need is from some additional. So I bring that up because obviously that's going to continue if the board was inclined to approve this. That would be a continued condition of the approval.
Okay, any other questions? That's your witness, right?
Yeah, I have the architect here in case the board has any questions, but basically, I don't intend to call him unless the board has any questions of him. I would just respectfully request that the amendment be granted. There are no variances with it, and I think it just makes the building more functional, and I thank the board for their time.
Anybody out there want to speak for, against, or ask a question? All right, we'll close to the public, and he gave his summation. He's not getting another chance. So if you have anyone want to offer a motion?
Yeah, I'll offer a motion to approve the application, subject to staff reports.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Poll the board.
Raymond Betterbid,
Yes.
Laura Grauman,
Yes?
Donald Johnson,
Yes.
Bruce McCracken,
Yes.
Alan Rich,
Yes.
Anthony Caldwell,
Yes.
Chairman Thomas.
Yes, I'm anxiously looking forward to seeing it finished.
Thank you.
We're back to McCoolus Choma.
Yes, he is here.
Which one?
Sure, come on up.
Okay, this is,
Yeah.
I want to thank him for being late so I can go home.
hardship variance. This is ZBA 15-00004. Hardship variance in which the applicant's asking permission to build an addition at 217 Adams Street, Somerset, Block 550, lots 40 to 45 in the R10 zone.
Sir, if you raise your right hand for me. Got to speak into the microphone. You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Excuse me?
Did you understand me?
I'm sorry, my language is not perfect, so, no.
Okay.
Can you repeat?
I'm swearing you in so that we know that you're going to tell us the truth, okay?
I'm sorry.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Okay, and your name for the record?
Mikola Shema.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you briefly tell us what your plan involves?
You're going to have to use the microphone.
You look in a plan, I want to extend my old house.
Hold the mic up.
Hello? Oh, yeah. Closer? Okay, now? I want to extend it on that side and a 26 foot and back 13. And also, if you look at the blueprint, you see I want to remove front existing addition and to remove and relocate that front step and also it's going to be some parts of existing foundation removed because I want to extend that house in the back and
Are you a builder or an engineer or an architect?
I'm builder, yeah. I have a own business. I'm going to be do by myself.
And you have a building business?
Yeah, I do.
And what is your experience? The reason I'm asking is because these exhibits that you've provided are obviously not prepared by an engineer or an architect. When I take a look at this plan here, I'm not sure I completely understand what it is that you want to do. Generally, when an application comes before us, and I recognize if you're a builder, you might not have felt the necessity because you do this, there are documents that are prepared that are, I guess, more easily understandable.
Basically, you got my plan. What I supposed to do with existing house. So, if you're looking on a plan, you see on a plan what is gonna be.
I'd say you're expanding the existing house about 1,100 square feet. In addition, on the back of the single-family dwelling, and a dormer on the front,
Yes, correct.
and an attached two-car garage.
Yes, correct.
Are you gonna have a driveway? And a
On
sidewalk,
the front, on the garage, yeah, it's gonna be.
and landscaping?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Do you have a copy of the section called the general review comments from the staff?
Did you get a report from Franklin telling you what you need to do?
Did you get a copy of the engineer's report?
Yeah, I have a, yeah. So,
This was a report that was prepared by Julio Vega. Or Julio Vega. You got this report? If you want, you can come up and take a look at what it is that we're talking about.
can keep that.
No, I don't have those. No,
You don't have that?
no. Supposed to be sent me?
Yeah.
There's a number
He never,
of
he
items.
doesn't have the engineering report. He said he never got the engineering report.
I don't know.
Because it's got a lot of review comments.
Yes, it does. I don't know. My guess is he probably never came in to get them.
They don't send them to him?
I'd have to check with Christine whether, I mean, there's a chance she sent it to him, and maybe he didn't know what he was receiving. I don't know.
There are so many comments in terms of things that need to be provided that my recommendation is that this matter be carried and that that you spend some time reviewing this with the engineer. Because it requires a fair amount of stuff on here.
That's gotta be carried. It can't be done.
It does.
I can't see, I can't see how we would be able to, how he's legitimately able to agree to everything when he hasn't read it. Just, you know, but
He needs a meeting with the engineers.
I think that what you need to do, we're not in a position, I think, to approve this tonight because there are a whole variety of items that need to be either completed or you need to agree that you will complete. And you haven't read this, and some of this you may or may not be able to do. And I think that what you need to do is have a meeting with the engineer so that you can go over these review items. Because unless I were satisfied that this was, that you were able to satisfy this, I wouldn't be able to vote to approve this application.
No, they need to review with the engineer.
there are 11 items that they're asking you to address.
I never received that. I don't.
And
That's what we're getting at.
that's what we're getting at. I mean, I know you came here, and I feel bad that we can't deal with this tonight, but I would recommend that you request that this be carried, and we'll hear this application another night after you've had an opportunity to review this with the engineer.
We're-
Does he have a
asking
copy
you-
of the report? Did someone give him a copy? Take the copy of the report.
He can have mine.
Got a lot of copies up here. Take your pick.
You can do this through the township engineer.
Okay.
Now, the other thing would be,
Mark, who should he call?
Well, he's already been dealing with Vince. You should call Vince tomorrow.
Actually,
Vince
come up again
Dominic,
and-
the zoning officer you've been dealing with, call him tomorrow. Set up a meeting with him. There are some other reports, and you can sit down with Vince and with engineering, and you can go over the different comments that have been raised on your report, and then you'll be better able to deal with that before the board.
did he have to notice?
Yeah, he has noticed. Yes.
So but then we need to set a date.
Yeah, you'd want to set it for June 4th is the next meeting.
And that-
So this will be carried till June 4th.
Well, that's.
We can set the next hearing date as June 4th, and we'll say publicly to all the public that's not here, no further you don't have to give any further notice to the public within the 200 feet that you've done, right? And that gives you about a month to meet with the engineer, and if there's anything you need to do in order to be sure you can satisfy or come to an agreement on these comments. If you need more time, that's not a problem either. But you'll get a feeling for what you need to do when you talk to the engineer and how long it will take. But we'll tentatively set June 4th. Is that doable from our schedule?
Yep.
Okay, that's it then.
Well, just real quick, are there any other things that the board would want to see when now you have the, are there anything on the plans or the architecturals that, since he has some time, it's a level of detail that you would need?
Yeah, it's not very clear. I'm having trouble with it myself.
I think it would help us to see a better rendering of what the house, the existing house is, and what it's going to be when it's finished.
And what would that take the shape of? Does it need to be from an architect, or could he use this and maybe get samples of, off the web of it's going to look kind of like this?
Well, for one thing, I wouldn't mind seeing a photograph of his house right now, at various views or elevations, for one thing. For another thing, I think that the way the survey is marked up, it's not real clear, at least to me, I recognize that there are a whole variety of lines that say new and old, but generally with the kinds of things that we see, there are darker lines that show what's there, and maybe lighter lines that show what is planned to be there, and then you can strike out what you're removing so that it's visually clearer. Does what I'm saying make sense?
We can sit down with him, go over that with him.
Yeah, so if somebody could, help him make that visually clearer.
Okay, and I think another thing that may help as well, there is a photo of the area in the back of the engineer's report. I think maybe providing the board with an aerial showing the nature of this lot in relation to the surrounding area may help as well.
Yeah.
So we'll put that together.
Okay, because this application was very hard for me to understand.
You're going to be able to pass that on to our engineer, that information?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I think we're all set then. Anything else? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We'll see you on June 4th.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.